Sean, it's year 3 back at Xavier. I want to go big picture. What is the biggest difference about this time being a coach here versus when you did it before?
The Big East Conference. It's just, it's the best. It's incredibly competitive. Us as a basketball program, university, we really cherish being a part of this conference. And, look, it forces you to be at your best. It will bring out the best in us. And I think it's forced us as a basketball program to look at doing things the best we can possibly do. And that's what it's going to take to be successful, especially in this league the way it is now.
And you're a little older as well, a little wiser.
Very much so, yeah. No, I disappeared for 13 years. So, the comeback or the do-over or coming back for a second time, when you're away for a 13-year window, as much as you think things stayed the same, no. A lot of people grew older, including me. And so there's a lot that's the same, but there's also a lot of things different. And again, to answer the question, the Big East Conference in Xavier, it makes it a lot different.
Is it special to come back to a place that meant a lot to you and then get to be part of it again in a different era?
For sure. The first time I was at Xavier, I was there for 8 years, 5 as the head coach, but also 3 as an assistant. And I learned a lot during that period of time in my life. I had 3 sons that were like basically babies, entering elementary school, a much different period of time. But we have great friends there. Xavier believed in me 2 times. The first time, you get your first opportunity somewhere and you forever remember it. I was an assistant coach. They believed in me. My record was 0-0, and they allowed me to be the head coach. And the second time I came back, not from a place, but the unknown, and for them to believe in me twice, you can only imagine the strong feelings I have about Xavier, Cincinnati, and being back.
So you guys got such bad injury luck last season. What's the key to getting back to the NCAA tournament this year?
Well, I think we have to be more consistent defensively as a team, as a program. In the Big East, the parity, the coaches, the players, you can't be reliant on just one side of the ball. I think it's one of the, not secrets, but it's one of the things that UConn does so well, that they're elite and great on both sides. There are times where the game changes because of their defense. It has nothing to do with their offense. Vice versa. There are times when it has everything to do with their offense. So we aspire to be good at both, but I think if you look at us in the first 2 years of me being at Xavier, we have to become better, harder to score against. I think the month of February and March, you have to be able to get defensive stops to win in our league.
So you mentioned UConn and what they're trying to do, go for a three-peat. You've coached in a lot of high-pressure situations. You've tried to do things that are really hard to do. What is that like for them, and then how do you stop them?
Well, what they've done, when people ask me about UConn, I'll just start with this, it's historic. They've won 12 NCAA tournament games in a row in blowout fashion. I mean, there's nothing to talk about. No one's done that, I don't believe, and there'll be a day when people reflect back on where they're at, and they'll point towards that run of being unprecedented. So they bring out the best in all of us. They bring out the best in our league, the Big East. And, to beat them, you're going to have to be absolutely at the top of your game. And that's what's remarkable. They take everybody's best shot, and they keep moving forward. So what Dan has done, what UConn is, we respect them an immense amount. A year ago, they beat us in Hartford by 70 points. We were down, what felt like 30-2. It's a feeling that I never want to experience again. And when you go through that, it wasn't because we weren't ready. It was because they were that good. And then if you followed them post that game, they did that to many teams.
I was going to say, you weren't alone
amen.
in a run like that. So you have Zach and Jerome back from injuries, and also Jerome had a health issue as well with a heart attack. Let's talk about them individually. What does Zach bring to this program? What makes him so important to this team?
So Zach is a productive player in the Big East. He's been on the All Big East team. He's scored 20 points. He's had a triple-double. When he got injured, now is, I guess, about a year and a half ago. The last time he played would have been at Creighton, not last season, but 2 years ago. That would be game 23. He was one of the leading scorers in the Big East. So he's proven he's in the best shape of his life. I think all of us, hopefully God is on board as well to allow him to just have a start to finish healthy year. I mean, the guy has been through really 3 season-ending types of injuries, but he had a different surgery. He took about a year and 3 months off from playing to playing again, and we look at him as being one of the Big East's most versatile forwards. We're thrilled to have him. He brings everything, scoring and experience to the table for us.
And then Jerome coming back, and he was multiple challenges
Yeah.
to come back. What has it been like to watch him go through all of that and then to get a chance to have this season?
Yeah, so not to take anything away from Zach, because to be in the best shape of your life and be where he's at in his last year in college, he's overcome way more than people do in their lifetime. But it pales into comparison when you compare him to Jerome. I mean, Jerome had a heart attack. We didn't know if he'd ever be able to play basketball again. He didn't know. He had to get through all of that. So let's just start there and then say, okay, he got to the other side of it. And just in a practice a year ago, he wasn't going to play. He was just working on his craft and starting his comeback. He tore his Achilles. So when you go from a heart attack to a torn Achilles, those are things that most people don't experience in a lifetime. He's done it while he's been in college. So to have him on the other side of it, it's one thing to talk about what he brings to the table as a player, but you can imagine his popularity, his meaning to his teammates in our program. So in many ways, Jerome embodies the heart and soul of what we do. Again, if I could have one thing happen this year, it'd be to have both Zach and Jerome be healthy from start to finish. We certainly missed them on the court last year, but if you're around them every day, their respective stories are remarkable. I mean, if there's such a thing as comeback player of the year in college basketball, like both of them would be candidates to be a part of that this year.
Absolutely, and we'll be hoping that they can stay healthy as well. I did want to ask, as you talk about why you do this, there's been a lot of conversation about how hard these jobs are in this era of college basketball. Tony Bennett retires, Jay Wright retired recently. What keeps you doing this?
Yeah, look, I respect Tony and Jay a lot. I mean, those are two of the best coaches that have ever done it in college basketball. And, their story's their story. Me, I guess the drum that I beat to is just I love the game. It's you love to see young people develop. You love to be a part of a locker room, winning on the road, all the different things that unless you've been a part of it, you don't understand how wild and how positive that feeling is to be a part of that. But the game itself, I love it. My dad was a high school coach. I probably have a lot of him in me, and I enjoy coaching.
You've got a great track record of getting guys to the NBA. How do you do it? What do you attribute that to?
Well, you have to recruit talent. A lot of those guys, sometimes I hear a coach, almost take credit for the development of a player. Well, that player, he might have gone to a lot of different programs and still become an NBA player. But I do think that at Xavier, and maybe the way I'm wired, we really respect player development. It's at the top of our list every day to make individual players better, to give them in a higher pressure, high expectation environment, to surround them with incredible support, strength and conditioning, the mental part of it, the daily grind of making their weaknesses better, and just working very, very hard to allow them to grow as an individual, to teach them. So I would say that has to be a part of your program if you want players inside of your program to reach the pinnacle. And I'll use Quincy Oliveri as the example. If you would have judged Quincy in October a year ago, we scrimmaged Notre Dame, I think he had 2 points, you'd be like, is he going to be good enough to play in the Big East? If you looked at him at the end of March, Devin Carter and him led the Big East in scoring. And that's an example of a young player who's towards the end of his career, like 1 year, 9 months as a senior. So you can develop players in all shapes, sizes. They don't need to be with you for 4 years. They don't need to come in as a freshman. you have to make it a priority.
You can also see that keeps you going too, right? In this era
For
of
sure.
crazy roster
That's all
construction
part of
and NIL.
coaching. It's what you love, that story. When I got the news that he made the Lakers, it was just like, wow. I mean, it was especially coming off the year we had, because if Quincy would have had Jerome Hunter and Zach Freemantle healthy, not only would he have had a great individual season, but the winning part of it would have been more what he experienced. So to see him do what he did at Xavier and then continue to do it in the NBA, he made all of us proud.
I love his mom. Just like she's like, here's bio pictures. Like if anyone needs like to update their stuff on my son, it's awesome.
He's very authentic and genuine.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes guys that play that other role, social media and in the city, but his impact, like in Cincinnati, in children's literacy, like going to elementary schools just on his own time, he did it. I mean, he did it from start to finish. And no, he's a very unique guy, and thrilled to see him where he's at.